We often view historical and mythological figures as untouchable marble statues. Kings, conquerors, and cunning tricksters who shaped the world with their ambition. But nothing reveals the true humanity of a legend quite like the animals they loved, relied on, and grieved for. Today we are looking at 5 legendary companions that stood beside history's greatest figures. Our journey begins with perhaps the most famous horse in human history. Before he conquered the known world, Alexander the Great was just a teenager in Macedonia. According to the ancient historian Plutarch, in Plutarch's Lives, translated by Long and Stewart, a Thessalian named Philonicus brought the horse Bucephalus and offered it to King Philip for the sum of 13 talents. The king and his friends proceeded to some level ground to try the horse's paces. They found that he was very savage and unmanageable. He allowed no one to mount him, paid no attention to any man's voice, and refused to allow anyone to approach him. Philip became angry and bade them take the vicious, intractable brute away. But Alexander, who was present, spoke up.
What a fine horse they are ruining, because they are too ignorant and cowardly to manage him.
Philip at first was silent, but when Alexander repeated this remark several times and seemed greatly distressed, he challenged him.
Do you blame your elders, as if you knew more than they, or were better able to manage a horse?
This horse, at any rate, I could manage better than anyone else.
And if you cannot manage him, what penalty will you pay for your forwardness?
I will pay the price of the horse.
While the others were laughing and settling the terms of the wager, Alexander ran straight up to the horse, took him by the bridle, and turned him to the sun. He had noticed that the horse's shadow dancing before his eyes alarmed him and made him restive. He then spoke gently to the horse, patted him on the back, and when he perceived the horse no longer snorted so wildly, he dropped his cloak and lightly leaped upon his back. He steadily reined him in without violence or blows. Seeing the horse was no longer ill-tempered, but only eager to gallop, Alexander let him go, boldly urging him to full speed with his voice and heel. When he returned, his father wept with pride.
My son, seek for a kingdom worthy of yourself, for Macedonia will not hold you.
From that day on, Bucephalus was Alexander's exclusive mount. He carried the conqueror through countless battles across Asia, all the way to India. Bucephalus was so precious to Alexander that when the horse was once stolen, the king was ready to scorch the earth to get him back. Plutarch writes, "Here, some of the natives surprised the grooms in charge of his horse Bucephalus and captured the animal. Alexander was much distressed at this and sent a herald to make proclamation that unless his horse were restored to him, he would massacre the whole tribe with their wives and children. When, however, they brought back his horse and offered to place their chief cities in his hands as a pledge for their good behavior, he treated them all with kindness and paid a ransom for the horse to those who had captured it." When Bucephalus finally died of old age and battle wounds, Alexander was completely heartbroken. He didn't just bury his horse, he founded a city as a memorial to him upon the banks of the Hydaspes River, Jhelum River, present day in Asia, which he named Boukephalos. Fast forward to the early 19th century. If you want to understand the monumental clash at the Battle of Waterloo, you must look at the 2 brilliant commanders and the legendary horses beneath them. Napoleon Bonaparte's most famous companion was Marengo, a small, incredibly tough, grey Arabian stallion imported from Egypt. Marengo was reliable, fast, and remarkably calm under heavy artillery fire. He carried the French emperor through the freezing retreat from Moscow and into the defining Battle of Waterloo in 1815. Across the smoky battlefield stood Napoleon's ultimate rival, Arthur Wellesley, the Duke of Wellington. His mount was Copenhagen, a fiery, muscular chestnut stallion with a notoriously bad temper. While Marengo was small and steady, Copenhagen was aggressive and possessed boundless stamina. During the Battle of Waterloo, Wellington rode Copenhagen for a staggering 15 consecutive hours. dodging cannonballs and rallying the British squares. When the French were finally defeated and the battle was won, an exhausted Wellington dismounted and gave his loyal horse an affectionate pat on the flank. In true Copenhagen fashion, living up to his aggressive reputation, the cranky stallion lashed out with a powerful kick that nearly took the Duke's head off. Both horses survived the battle, but their fates were as different as their masters. Copenhagen returned to England as a national hero, living out his days in luxury with a state funeral upon his death. Marengo, however, was captured by the British in the aftermath of Napoleon's defeat. He was brought to England and paraded around as a living war trophy. Today, Marengo's skeleton is still on display at the National Army Museum in London, a stark reminder of the fall of an empire. Not all legendary animal companions were forged in the fires of war. Some are born of absolute, unchecked madness, or perhaps political satire. Enter the Roman Emperor Caligula and his chariot horse, Incitatus. The name translates to swift or galloping. According to the Roman historian Suetonius in the Lives of the 12 Caesars, translated by Alexander Thompson, Caligula's obsession with this horse bordered on the theatrical. To ensure Incitatus rested peacefully before a big race, the emperor would send soldiers to silence the entire neighborhood. But that was just the beginning. Suetonius writes, "The day before the Circensian Games, he used to send his soldiers to enjoin silence in the neighborhood, that the repose of his horse Incitatus might not be disturbed." For this favorite animal, besides a marble stable, an ivory manger, purple housings, and a jeweled frontlet, he appointed a house with a retinue of slaves and fine furniture for the reception of such as were invited in the horse's name to sup with him. It is even said that he intended to make him consul. Rumour had it that Caligula even planned to make the horse a Roman consul. While many historians point to this as proof of Caligula's utter insanity, modern scholars suggest a different angle. Caligula despised the Roman Senate. By threatening to make his horse a consul, he was effectively telling the senators that they were so useless, a literal animal could do their jobs better. Whether it was madness or mockery, Incitatus remains the most pampered pet in ancient history. Finally, we return to the ancient world, and to one of the most brilliant and complex characters of Homer's epics, Odysseus, the king of Ithaca. As we know, Odysseus represents human intellect, cunning, and the relentless willpower to survive. But beneath the trickery and the intellect was a man whose longest-lasting bond was arguably the most heartbreaking in all of literature. Before Odysseus was forced to leave for a war that would consume 20 years of his life, he trained a hunting dog named Argos. When Odysseus sailed for Troy, Argos was just a puppy. For 20 years, Odysseus fought gods, monsters, and men. Through sheer grit, intellect, and the loss of every single man under his command, Odysseus survives. Finally, 20 years after he left, Odysseus washes ashore on his beloved Ithaca. But his kingdom has been hijacked by hostile suitors. To infiltrate his own home, Odysseus disguises himself as an old, scarred beggar. No one recognizes him. Not the suitors, and initially, not even his family. But as he approaches the palace gates, Homer describes a scene in Book 17 of the Odyssey, A.T. Murray's translation, that breaks the heart of the disguised king. Lying on a pile of manure, abandoned, flea-ridden, and half-dead from old age, is Argos. And then, when he noted Odysseus standing near, he wagged his tail and dropped both his ears, but nearer to his master, he had no longer strength to move. And Odysseus, when he saw him, wiped away a tear. Argos was the only creature in all of Ithaca to instantly recognize his master through his disguise. But Odysseus, knowing that breaking his cover would mean instant death at the hands of the suitors, cannot go to his dog. He must walk past him, pretending not to care. Having finally seen his master return home after 20 long years, Argos's duty is complete. Homer concludes the scene with devastating simplicity. But upon Argos came the fate of Black Death straightway when he had seen Odysseus in the 20th year. Odysseus won the Trojan War and he reclaimed his throne, but the loyalty of Argos stands as a testament to the heavy, unseen price of his 20-year absence. From warhorses who forged empires to a faithful dog waiting by the gates, these animals were more than just pets. They were the silent partners of history. So, I pass the question to you. Which of these historical pairs is your favourite? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into history and mythology.